Today, it's my pleasure to welcome to Shepherd's Grove in the Hour of Power actor Kevin and director, producer, author Kevin, philanthropist. I had to keep going. There's all these things. Kevin Sorbo. Kevin's prolific career includes over 150 commercials, early appearances in Murder, She Wrote, Cheers, The Commish. He then starred in the Hercules series for 7 years, followed by Gene Rodenberry's sci-fi series Andromeda for 5 years, having Kevin on air for 12 consecutive years. So please welcome Kevin Sorbo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Before we get to the stuff of real substance, I have to say, when Hercules came on, I was like 12 or 13.
I know, it makes me feel really old.
I have to admit, I watched Hercules year after year, but once, Xena Warrior Princess came on, I was about 16. I made the switch.
Xena was our third-year spin-off. She's a lot meaner than me, though. My show was more family-friendly. I think that's why they aired an hour later. But I just have to talk real quick, because we did 5 2-hour movies before it became a series. And Anthony Quinn, I got to work a whole year with Anthony Quinn, which was pretty cool.
Wow,
and I got some amazing stories, some I can't tell in church. And and the very first movie was called Hercules and the Amazon Women, and Roma Downey played the Queen of the Amazons. So before she was touched by an angel, she was touched by Hercules. So in a good way. In a good way. Come on, guys.
I'm sure.
We're in church.
That is funny. We interviewed Roma Downey not long ago.
And Mark Burnett probably as well.
Yeah, and Mark Burnett about their great Bible series and the movie that they're doing. And that's actually probably a great segue to some of the things I want to talk about today. It seems like that in the past, religious movies didn't have either the budget or the quality to really, I think, appeal to people, but both their project and now your project, God's Not Dead, was a huge success, wasn't it?
I think it started, with Passion of the Christ. My good buddy Jim Caviezel was in that, and I think that sort of opened the door and opened the eyes of Hollywood. I would say the Blind Side movie, you can consider that a faith-based movie. It has changed. Obviously, technology has made it better and easier to shoot higher quality things. The scripts have gotten far better over the last 7, 8 years as well, because the movies that dealt with God and dealt with church sort of had a cheesy appeal to them before, and they were shot not well. It's a whole different ballgame now, and I think it's important that you do these movies. Don't necessarily preach to the choir. I want the choir to come. I do want the choir to come, but you want to reach out to those people, those agnostics that are floating out there. That I call them the independent voters. Are they going to go Democrat or Republican? So you want to reach out to those guys and show them that God is a good thing.
Yeah, that's great. And I was talking to a friend of mine who at a young age was a pastor and became a filmmaker. And his reason was, he said, I felt like I can remember in my whole life, having heard thousands of sermons, I can remember maybe 5 or 6. But I can tell you hundreds of films that changed my life or my worldview.
Sure.
And he really felt that even from a kingdom of God perspective and a changing minds perspective, that films could go in some ways a lot further than sermons could.
Well, they reach so many people. I mean, God's Not Dead. I hope some of you got a chance to see that when it's out. We do have some early DVDs here. Thank you. I've done 5 movies with PureFlix. They're based out of Scottsdale. They're the #1 distributor of faith-based and family-friendly movies. And the first movie I did was called What If. If you haven't seen What If, please check it out. It's a wonderful movie. It's on Netflix or Amazon. But they came to me with God's Not Dead, and they said, it's a different part for you to play. We know you're a Christian, but you have to play an atheist college professor. I read the script. I was sold on it right away. And what's amazing is this little $2 million movie. It sounds like a lot of money, but in Hollywood, $2 million isn't a big movie. And it's made $62 million in the box office. And thanks to people like you. And what's amazing, it's still opening in 33 more countries. And still out there. The DVD comes out officially August 5th. They've got a big release on that. It's been amazing, and it's all been word of mouth. It's all, because in Hollywood, you put out a movie, it doesn't normally grow in terms of theaters. We went from 780 screens to 1,400 to 2,000 over the first 3 weeks. And that's unheard of, and that's all because of wonderful people like you and pastors like you that are getting the word out there and telling people to go see it. And it's been incredible. And I just finished another movie with them called Revelation Road, which is another completely different part for me, but I play a South African leader of a bad gang, and it's a very post-apocalyptic sort of God meets Mad Max.
Nice.
So I hope you guys check it out when it comes out in the fall. So.
Great. Now, all of this, you've written in your book, True Strength, about your own journey. I mean, under all of this, you've kind of gone through a lot in your life. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Well, it was, I shot Hercules, as I said, in New Zealand. During the last 3 months of season 5, I was getting prepped to come back to do a movie in Atlanta for Universal Studios. And I was having all kinds of problems with my left shoulder and my fingers, and I couldn't figure what was going on. And I came back to the States and had it checked out before I was going to start this movie. And my doctor found a lump in my left shoulder. And he said, I think I want to do a biopsy on that, which sort of freaked me out because I'm in my 30s, I'm in great shape, and I didn't know what was going on. I went to see my chiropractor. In 8 years, I've gone to this guy. He's never cracked my neck in 8 years because I don't like my neck cracked. So you can crack anything else in my body, leave my neck alone. I'm laying on the table. I heard a voice inside my head say, don't let him crack your neck. I opened my eyes, I looked up at the doctor. I said, you say something? So I didn't say anything. Closed my eyes again, the voice even louder, do not let him crack your neck. And I thought, how odd. Why am I hearing this voice tell him not to crack my neck? He's never cracked my neck in 8 years. While I'm arguing with the voice in my head, he cracks my neck. What ended up being the lump in there was an aneurysm in my left subclavicle, and it was feeding off blood clots into this arm for a long time. That crack of the neck, because it was so close to the vein artery leading the brain, made 3 of the clots go upstream, and I suffered 3 strokes. Fortunate to be alive. I mean, two of the strokes went to my balance center, 1 went to my vision. I still have a 10% loss in both eyes. I went from a guy that was in his 30s in better shape than most guys in his 20s to a guy that was, you think strokes happen to people in their 90s or something like that. Yeah. So I went to a guy that couldn't even walk and balance myself. So it was tough in a lot of different ways. It took me 4 months of rehab to learn how to walk again. And I went from a 14-hour workday in the set 4 months later to 1 hour a day, slowly building myself back up. But it took me 3 years to fully recover. And so I wrote the book, True Strength. And I have copies of it here. And it really is a story about triumph over tragedy, how you deal with that road that all of us are gonna hit that roadblock one day. We don't know when and where it's gonna be. How do you react to when something horrific happens to you personally? Because I had to go through it. That voice obviously was God warning me, and I did not pay attention to that voice. And I have atheist friends who said that wasn't God. And I said, what do you want to call it? A gut feeling? I said, call it what you want. But many times in your life, I don't care where you are in your religious beliefs, I'm sure when you've been by yourself, sometime in your life you're going to take a road and said, I better not go down that road. Yeah. What told you not to go down that road? Call it a gut feeling if you want, but to me it was God, and I didn't pay attention to that voice. He tried to warn me. But it certainly has changed my life in so many ways.
Did it affect your faith? I mean...
Well, I was angry for a while, which we normally are. I think we rail against God when bad things happen. But, you know, it's interesting. Human nature, if things don't happen the way we want things to happen in our lives, we always point the finger and blame other people. Really, just look in the mirror. That's where the problem is. My wife is a New Yorker. She's a toughie, and she said, you know what? It happened. Deal with it. And I had to learn to deal with it. And I actually had somebody, it was tough love, and I tell you, you needed it because you go through those stages, you feel sorry for yourself, you're angry, you blame God. In reality, God was trying to help me and save me, but he opened up a whole new door for me, and it changed my life drastically. Not in really, it strengthened my faith, but I've always had a faith. I never was a reborn. I don't, you know, sure. I think as a teenager, I went through certain phases where I started questioning, not questioning God, but asking more questions about, you know, religion.
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
But I've always been a Christian, and it was a tough road, an interesting road. The book has been amazing. I've been doing speeches across the country in North America. I've been in bookstores, I've been at churches, I spoke to in front of 1,600 neurologists in San Diego last year. Wow. And I told them what I tell all doctors, I said, there's a reason what they call what you do a practice. you don't know everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes down to you as well. And I'm a very strong-willed person, and I think that's what helped save me and get me through the times I had to go through.
And I'm hearing a lot that your wife really made a big impact. Tell us about her book. She's working on something too, isn't she?
My wife has a book out called The Answer. I actually have some copies of it along as well. She wrote it with her writing partner, Marius Fortelny. It's a wonderful book. It deals with proof of God in heaven. And it's, it's an interesting look at a world that is trying to kick God out of the lives of people. This is to show you the proof that God does exist and God is here. It deals with the natural law, which God gave to us to show that he's here. And, you know, we as Christians, I think we have to be a little more vocal about what we do with our lives. I mean, there's a poll out there asking Christians, how many of you have invited other people to church? And the vast majority have never done that. Yeah. But how do we touch a secular world if we're not out there being willing to fight for God and our own Christian faith? And that's what this book really deals with from a scientific point of view. Pretty much like God's not dead. does, where you get the atheist view, but you also get the Christian view, which, you know what, you can fight science with science and prove that, those stars you see up there and that flower you see in the ground didn't just happen.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's here.
Yeah, that is a great word. Well, Kevin, we're so glad you're here. Kevin will be here at the end of the service. He'll be happy to sign books and meet you. He brought us 3 awesome kids. Hi, guys.
I did.
Thanks for coming to church today.
Stand up.
Nice.
My wife's in Florida, otherwise she would be here, trust me. So.
Sure. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
You.
Kevin Sorbo. Kevin, we're so grateful. Thank you.